everyone. Today we welcome Professor Elisa Gradi, an art historian and supervisor of the art history department here at LDM, in addition to supervising a couple other fine arts departments with us. So this semester, she is introducing a new course called Women Artists from the Renaissance to the Present. And we are extra excited to discuss this course further since International Women's Day is right around the corner on March 8th. So Elisa, welcome.
Thank you, Jordan, for inviting me.
Of course. So I'm just going to jump right into it with a couple questions for you regarding your new course. So female artists have gained increasing prominence in the art world in recent centuries. However, even in the Renaissance, quite a few women artists have produced timeless masterpieces, which, although are often overlooked by art historians, they entered the Western canon. So can you tell me a little bit about who they were?
Yes, they were very, very brave women who managed to challenge the prejudices of the time, becoming professional artists and demonstrating their talent. They were mainly daughters or wives of artists who had the opportunity to learn the art of painting in the family atelier or workshop. Because unfortunately, the academic education was denied to women. So we have few exceptions to this rule. And so starting from this consideration, you can imagine what is the greatest problem that art historians have to face, exploring the works of the works of art created by female artists. Many works are not correctly attributed. So let's take, for example, the case of Marietta Robusti. She was the daughter of the famous painter Tintoretto, and the contemporary sources tell us that her fame went even beyond Venice because she was invited by the Emperor Maximilian II to his court, but her father didn't give her the permission to leave. So we know only one of her paintings, only one is attributed to her. So it is clear that her role was much more important than what we know. So we can say the same for many other female artists whose work has been ignored or worse, confused with that of male artists. So this is an art history that we have yet to write. There is much more to explore, and I hope that the new generation of art historians, so our students, will continue to investigate this unwritten page of the art history.
Ooh, that's really interesting. Let's hope so too. Now, how did female artists bring a different perspective to the world of figurative arts?
Some art historians in the past, commenting the work of female artists, argued that they had a greater grace, gentleness, delicacy in the work of female artists. I don't like this. I think it's another prejudice because Artemisia Gentileschi, for example, has shown that she had great strength, great energy in her painting. But one big difference is undeniable. As I told you before, women couldn't have an academic training. And above all, they couldn't draw live models from the nude because it was considered scandalous. And this leads as a consequence that they couldn't know as their male colleagues, the human anatomy, which was essential for the most important subjects of the Renaissance. So they couldn't paint mythological scene or a lot of biblical scene. They were therefore forced to focus mainly on other genres as portraiture or self-portraitures. But in this genre, we have great masterpieces as interesting as those of male artists. So I have to be honest with you, Jordan, if women had access to an education like men, talking about a female perspective would make little sense today, in my opinion.
Well, it sounds like even with those limitations, they were able to produce some really amazing work. And
Absolutely.
Going off that, I'm just curious, who is your favorite female artist from the Renaissance and what can be learned from her art?
My favorite artist is absolutely Sophonis Banguissola, because she was the first female Renaissance artist. She was from Bologna, who demonstrated her talent, even though she was not the daughter or the wife of a male artist. So she had an extraordinary personality as well as a great artistic talent, of course, which brought her to Spain to work for the court of the Emperor Philip II. I learned a lot by analyzing her self-portraits, where she always paints herself dressed soberly. And while she's involved in an intellectual activity like reading or playing a musical instrument, it's a very strong statement, Jordan. It says, I'm a woman, but you don't have to judge me because I'm beautiful or elegant, but because I'm intelligent and educated.
I like that a lot. I can see why she would be your favorite. She sounds like a really strong woman.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm sure as an art historian, you would probably agree that if no one mentions you or writes about you, you run the risk of fading from history, which makes it even more important to talk about these amazing women.
Yes, I have to say that I started several years ago to be interested in this theme because I have always wondered if the art history I was studying was a history of words written by historians rather than a history of works. So many historians have conveyed the figure of the woman in art as an object and not as an active subject. So this is not historically true. I have to say that. I believe that at this point, it is our duty as teachers and educators to convey to our students a different idea of art history, able to break down disciplinary barriers, for example, or to question established cultural authorities, and overall be aware of what has not been said or written. So the silence, no, and the omissions of the traditional art history. And if you allow me, I would like to give a message to our students. The history of a female artist teaches us how important is the value of education to make human beings free to express their personality and their creativity. In the past, this was denied to certain categories of people due to prejudices. Today, we have to fight for the right to be educated because this is the only opportunity we have to be free human beings, women and men.
I think that's a really powerful message and a great point to leave it at, because I think leaving our students with that it would be incredible. So really, Elisa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Jordan, for this dialogue with you.
Of course. So I'd like to thank you again and thank everyone for joining us today and watching and learning a little bit more about this subject with Elisa.
Thank you.
Grazie.